Hey, que la que hay, mi gente? It's Rocky here from SpeakSpanishFaster.com. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the verb haber in Spanish. Now, haber is a verb that tends to trip people up because it has numerous different meanings and it even has different conjugations. So in this video, we are going to talk about 3 different use cases for the verb haber. Now, this video was a recommendation from one of our viewers. They pretty much filled out the little Google document form, the Google form I put in the description. So if you have any topic ideas, any videos, or any topics that you need help with, then you can submit it right there. It takes about 2 seconds, and then I can kind of put together a video to really help you solve whatever problem it is that you have. So without further ado, let's jump straight into an explanation of the verb haber in Spanish. Let's cover the 3 primary use cases of the verb haber in Spanish. Now, the first use case is to say that something has or something hasn't happened, like an action has taken place or hasn't taken place. And I'm going to give you an example of, what I mean. But for example, in English, whenever I say I have done something, you would be using the verb haber. So let's say you could say I ate an apple, comí una manzana. So I ate an apple, that's the preterite tense. Yo comí una manzana. Or you can say I have eaten an apple. Yo he comido una manzana. So you can see the slight difference there, but that is when the first use case of haber is to say to have done something. Now, whenever I say haber means to have done something, sometimes people will say, wait, I thought tener means to have. And you would be correct if you asked that question. What's the difference? It's a very simple difference. Haber means something has happened. Tener is to be in possession of something. Ya he comido, I have already eaten, versus tengo 3 gatos, I have 3 cats. All right, so completely different. So it's very easy not to mix those up because tener is to have possession of something, haber is to have happened, and you won't see a mix-up of that, all right? So here's just a quick rundown of how haber conjugates in the present tense. Has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. And then you would have the past participle. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I think that's learned easier through a bunch of input, but simply the verbs change to pasado, hablado, mirado, visto, comido, leído. And you can see, I have eaten, you have passed, he has read, we have talked, y'all have looked, they have saw. So it's very easy to understand how to use haber in the first use case. To have done something, something has passed, something has happened. Anytime in English you would use it has done this, it has eaten, it has gone, you would be using haber. Now that brings us to the second use case for haber, is to talk about there is something, there are something. Now, this is where people get confused with haber because this meaning of the second use case is completely different than the meaning of the first use case. And not only is it different, but it also conjugates differently. But don't let that give you any fear because it's a simple conjugation. Here, haber always turns to I. Whether we're talking about there is one thing or there are plural, 2, 3, 10 things, you're always going to use I. So for example, hay un hombre en tu oficina. There is a man in your office. Hay dos personas afuera. There are 2 people outside. So in both of these examples, you can see that in the first one, we talked about one man, singular. In the second one, we talked about 2 people, so plural, but we use I for both of those. Now, I is the present tense. We also have hubo and había, which are the preterite and the imperfect. That topic deserves an entire video on its own, and guess what? I've already done a video on that. So lucky for you, I'll put a link to that video in the description down below or in the comments down below also. So if you would like to know more information about how to use hay, hubo, había, kind of what's the difference between those three, then, or when to use which one, then I highly recommend you go check out that video. All right. So that video will dig deeper into this use case number 2. Now we get into use case number 3 for haber, and that is to talk about when something is necessary. This is why haber is so confusing for students, because this meaning of haber is different than, it has a different meaning than the first use case and then the second use case, and it conjugates a little bit differently than the second use case. It's not really even, it's not even really a conjugation. It's just to use haber to say it is necessary. Haber turns to hay que. All right. And it's always hay que. So that's easy to remember. So whenever you want to say something is necessary, you would use hay que plus the verb that is necessary. So in this example, we have hay que estudiar mucho para sacar buena nota. So it's necessary to study to get good grades. So anytime you're going to use hay que, you're going to follow that up with whatever verb is necessary. So it's necessary to study. It's necessary to talk. Hay que hablar. It's necessary to listen. Hay que escuchar. So anytime you're saying it's necessary to do X, you are going to insert that verb right after that. And I've done a video on hay que versus tener que, because those are actually a little similar. So I'll also put a link in the description to that video to help you know the difference between hay que versus tener que. So overall, haber is not that hard to work with once you understand how it works, but it is a common verb that you are going to see a lot in Spanish. So it's definitely worth your time. It's definitely worth the time to take to learn it. So let's quickly run through what we covered today. Very simple. You use haber in 3 different scenarios. When you want to say something has or hasn't happened, if you want to say there is or there are, some things or a thing present, or if you want to say it is necessary, you would use the verb haber. Now that you know the 3 use cases, you can be on the lookout. So anytime you see a form of the verb haber, you can pause that video or pause that audio or stop where you are reading and try to identify which use case is being used here. The more you take time to identify that, the more natural it will become. And over time, as you continue to consume more Spanish and you are exposed to the different uses of haber, it will become easier and easier to understand and easier to use. I hope you found today's video helpful. And if you are looking to take your Spanish to the next level, then I recommend you check out my free training. It's called the 3 Secrets to Learn Spanish Faster. It's a free training guide. I will put that link in the comments down below for you and also in the description. So you just click that link and it'll take you directly to the training guide so that you can start to improve your Spanish right now. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor and hit the thumbs up for me. Comment below or go to that Google form that I talked about at the beginning of the video, and please submit your video requests. It helps me bring you content that is relevant to you, so I can make sure, I'm giving you things that you actually want to see. And last but not least, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Hasta la próxima vez. Hablamos.